Hi, so this is a video on a piece of work I completed on a IBM 5160, which I got gifted because it was not working at all. I've never had a IBM or any of the XT models. This is a old machine that was an 8088 processor, and the history behind this machine was it was originally used by the British Steelworks and moved on when they closed down. So you can see this machine came with a single bay 5¼ inch floppy and a double bay hard drive by the looks of it, and some handy instructions on how to reboot the machine. So looking around the back, you can see it's clearly marked up as a IBM 5160 with the power supply in input and output, so it would also power the monitor. You can see this machine was fully loaded around the back with lots and lots of serial input and outputs ports, and even one hanging out the top of the case. Then if we go back around to the front, you can see it actually did come with a keyboard as well, so it was complete with the base unit, monitor and keyboard. You can see this keyboard is an early M-type, so you can see it's an early one because it hasn't actually got the LEDs at the top right hand corner. It's got like the panel cut out for them, but no actual LEDs there, so apparently this is a fairly rare type of keyboard, mainly used by dumb terminals. And as you can see, this also came complete with a IBM 5153 color monitor. So all in all, a complete unit. So time to try powering it on. They had said they tried it themselves. Yes, I've got the contrast turned up a bit bright here, but turn it on and see the screen does flicker. The fans do kick in, at least for the power supply, but nothing happens. Even adjusting the contrast up and down, I don't get any cursor or flickering or any type of prompt at all, so completely dead. So diving straight in, we can see we had a serial card, a long full-size graphics card, network cards, and then a long full-size hard drive card, floppy drive controller, yeah. And then next to that we had a serial card with some expansion ports you could put other sockets in, and a external serial card as well. And then down here is the power supply connector and stuff. So we had a 5¼ inch floppy, just single bay, and then a double bay, a whopping 20 meg hard drive, one of the original hard drives in there. And then the power supply, which is spinning up, but we're not getting any more than the power supply fan spinning up. So on these machines, especially in this case, a very common cause is one of the capacitors that's hidden down here. It's actually not even that necessary, so you can just remove it, although it is recommended to replace it, but you can just remove it and see if the machine works without the capacitor. So this capacitor in the middle of the screen is the main culprit. So I removed this and tested it. So this is the capacitor which I removed and tested. So this is the capacitor connected to my multifunction tester. You can see there it tested as if it was almost short circuit, 0.14 of an ohm. So in this case I wasn't going to replace the capacitor, but as I had the machine open, give it a good thorough clean around, and found this ladybird hidden in there, which made me wonder what the motherboard had been exposed to. So made sure it was a good thorough clean around with alcohol all over. So giving everything a clean, put it back together and power it up and see what we get. And straight away, good news. Not only a flashing indicator, but actually it's starting the power on self-test. Checking it's, in this case, 640k it will be, which is immediately confirming to me the monitor is working, and at least the machine itself is now working. But obviously I haven't checked the drives at all yet. I haven't got the disk in, but it does search the A drive, and then let's see if it sees the CD drive, hard drive as well. Yes. See what operating system or version of MS-DOS is on there, and there's also some sort of bootloader all in there. It says DOS 3.2, but actually when I looked at it later I found this is actually DOS 6. And listing all the files that's still on there from the previous owners. And even a nice little text-based menu. Now they've had it booted up, a nice little menu. Tempted me to play games on there, which of course I had a little go at, which allowed me to check a lot of the keys as well, and actually found that quite a few of the keys weren't working properly. So this is a notorious issue with a lot of the old IBM keyboards, especially the M-type, where they're held together with plastic rivets that corrode and fall apart, so the keyboard itself starts popping apart. So I'm going to have to go ahead and do the notorious bolt mod, where you replace all these rivets with nuts and bolts. I was going to take the keyboard apart anyway, obviously to give it a clean, but I'm going to have to do a bit more now. So these keys, they actually have the key itself underneath and almost like a cap over the top that's got the letter on. So you can see I've taken all the keys off and put the actual keys in one bowl to the left, and the top right is the key caps over the top, which have got the letters on themselves. And you can see underneath straight away it was really grubby, huge clumps of fur and grime. You can see here before I even started clearing the huge clumps of fluff and stuff under there. So actually opening it up and taking out the keyboard from its case, you can see here underneath those black dots are the plastic rivets, and quite a few of them you can see are actually not there. So you can see here lots of the rivets are all loose. So this is why the keyboard was falling apart and not making good contacts. So completely taking it apart, you get the actual plastic inlay which holds the springs, and unfortunately this can have a tendency to crack down the middle. As you can see, that happened to this keyboard because there is actually a curve to these keyboards, and unfortunately it can cause it to crack, especially when all the rivets are coming apart. So you can see about replacing these, or I actually managed to repair this one. So this is the epoxy that I use. I'm going to try and weld the two parts of the keyboard back together. So the metal backplate is actually the correct curve that you want for these. So to hold it in place, I've actually welded the two bits together with the epoxy, and then held them in the correct curve shape by weighing them down onto the actual template. So as you can see under here, I've got a few nuts and bolts in there, but I'm actually letting it dry, the plastic mould dry in the correct shape. So this is a video on how to do the bolt mod, but needless to say, I did the bolt mod. You can see all the white dots all over the place there where I've marked where I was going to drill through, and put the whole keyboard back together, all the little springs back in place. Not forgetting these little pipes, which I actually did forget initially. They go inside the case of the keyboard. And then once it's all back together, it's mainly a case of putting the keys back on in the right place. You can see there where some of the keys haven't got the caps on them yet. But then complete this and make sure that the keyboard all works. Booted it up, back to the games menu, and then tested all of the keys, make sure everything was all working, which they all were now. So that was a successful bolt mod. A few other things I did do as addition as well. I went back and checked the original hard drive, because obviously it's a very old machine now, but didn't have any errors on the hard drive, so I just left it there. I think the noise adds some value to the aesthetics of the machine. And also when I'd put the machine back together, I rearranged the cards as well, so that we didn't have that horrible serial port hanging out the top. Just took a bit of rearranging the cards to get them so everything all fitted in. So there we have a nice fully working IBM 5160. And then this proudly next to my other machines, but unfortunately due to lack of space, you can see it takes a fair bit of space. I had to part with this machine. Unfortunately, will be long missed.